तनोर अधिक साम्य विमुक्त धाम्नः रक्षो वदो जलधि बन्धनमस्त्रपूगै किं तस्य शत्रुहनने कपयः सहायाः नेदं यशो रघुपते सुरयाचयात्ता लीलातनोर अधिक साम्य विमुक्त धाम्नः रक्षो वदो जलधि बन्धनमस्त्रपूगै किं कस्य शत्रुहनने कपयः सहायाः One of you. Na, not, idam, all these, yashaha, fame, Raghupatehe, of Lord Ramachandra, Surayachnaya, by the prayers of the demigods, Atalilatanoho, whose spiritual body is always engaged in various pastimes. Adhika Samya Vimukta Damnaha. No one is greater than or equal to him. Rakshavadaha, killing the Rakshasa, Ravana. Jaladi Bandhanam, bridging the ocean. Astrapugaihi, with bow and arrows. Kim, whether. Tasya, his. Shatruhanane, in killing the enemies. Kapayaha, the monkeys. Sahayaha, assistants. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Bhai Arvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Lord Ramachandra's reputation for having killed Ravana with showers of arrows at the request of the demigods, and for having built a bridge over the ocean does not constitute the factual glory of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Ramachandra, whose spiritual body is always engaged in various pastimes. Lord Ramachandra has no equal or superior, and therefore he had no need to take help from the monkeys to gain victory over Ravana. Can you repeat the translation? Lord Ramachandra's reputation for having killed Ravana with showers of arrows at the request of the demigods, and for having built a bridge over the ocean does not constitute the factual glory of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Ramachandra, whose spiritual body is always engaged in various pastimes. Lord Ramachandra has no equal or superior, and therefore he had no need to take help from the monkeys to gain victory over Ravana. Purport. As stated in the Vedas, Shvetashvatara Upanishad 6.8, न तस्य कार्यं करणं च विद्यते न तत्समश्चाभ्याधिकश्च दृश्यते परास्य शक्तिर्विविधैव श्रूयते स्वाभाविकी ज्ञानबलक्रिया च. बलराम गोविंदाय की जय, प्रभुपाद की जय. The Supreme Lord has nothing to do, and no one is found to be equal to or greater than him. For everything is done naturally and systematically by his multifarious energies. The Lord has nothing to do. Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. Whatever he does is his pastime. The Lord has no duty to perform to oblige anyone. Nonetheless, he appears to act to protect his devotees or kill his enemies. Of course, no one can be the Lord's enemy, since who could be more powerful than the Lord? There is actually no question of anyone's being his enemy. But when the Lord wants to take pleasure in pastimes, he comes down to this material world and acts like a human being, thus showing his wonderful, glorious activities to please the devotees. His devotees always want to see the Lord victorious in varied activities, and therefore to please himself and them, the Lord sometimes agrees to act as a human being and perform wonderful, uncommon pastimes for the satisfaction of the devotees. Thus ends the Bhagavatam purport and translation to Canto 9, Chapter 11, text number 20 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshununmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is a very wonderful description of Shukadeva Goswami, further glorifying Lord Ramachandra in this verse. As we saw, Lord Ramachandra performed a wonderful feat of killing Ravana, who had 10 heads. But here, Shukadeva Goswami is saying, quoting two instances of Lord Rama's pastimes, something very unique, namely showering of arrows at the request of the demigods to kill Lord Ravana is one, and the second one is in the building of the bridge over the ocean, referring to the Indian Ocean, to kill Ravana. So Shukadeva Goswami is saying, so these deeds or acts of the Lord does not constitute the factual glory of the Supreme Personality of God. As we all heard from Ramayana, the wonderful feat of Lord Rama killing Ravana. And even the construction of the bridge over the Indian Ocean, if you read the detail in Ramayana, it is quite difficult to conceive how it can be made possible. But for Lord Ramachandra, there is nothing which is impossible. Yet Shukadeva Goswami is saying, these pastimes does not constitute the factual glory of the Supreme Lord. So how do we understand? So I have listed about 10 points just for the sake of understanding about this statement. So why does Shukadeva Goswami say these deeds of the Lord does not constitute the factual glory of the Supreme Lord? So how do we understand? Because these are not the only glorious deeds of the Lord. He always does something wonderful. Number one. Number two, it is not that what he has manifested is the only glory pertaining to him. There are unlimited deeds which the Lord can perform, and there is no end to it. So what is manifested is not the only glory. There is so much more to be manifested by the Lord. Then, as we all have heard, the Lord is unlimited. Therefore, his glory also must be unlimited. All his deeds must be unlimited and unlimitedly glorious. Because he is unlimited and he is glorious, therefore his glories are unlimitedly glorious. And for being unlimitedly glorious, he has to do something extraordinary. So, that is another understanding. And he will perpetually go on performing wonderful deeds, activities, which are certainly unimaginable to the human being of this world and even the demigods in heaven. Then, as far as we are concerned, we may do, not all of us, some rare persons in this world may do something glorious, something striking, something very unique, useful in our experience, and we get some award. We get Nobel Peace Prize, we get Padma Shri or Padma Bhushan, Bharat Ratna. These are very high grade awards. We get Olympic medals, and that's the end of our life. And how much the Lord is glorious for doing something, which none of the human beings and even devatas can conceive. And the Lord does these things one after the other, not one in a lifetime, not one glorious deed in a lifetime. He does unlimited deeds, and every deed of his is wonderful and unimaginable. And further, he does something which can't be understood by us. Oh, how was this possible? So, as Shukadeva Goswami quotes here, like Lord Rama stood at the beach of the ocean, and then he glanced over the ocean for not giving way for him to cross. And then the ocean was boiling. So you can't stand right in front of the ocean and cause the ocean to boil. But Lord Ramachandra did that. So we can't even imagine how the Lord can do such things. One more famous example is Lord Narasimha. Hiranyakashipu was the most intelligent person of his time. And most powerful. And even he could not conceive that somebody can assume a form which is neither man nor human, nor among the 84 lakh species. This Narasimha form is not of any of the 84 lakh species. It is half lion, half human. So therefore, Lord can do something more wonderful than the most wonderful human or even a demigod can conceive of, even conceive of, dream of. Then, the seventh point is, all of these glorious deeds the Lord accomplishes effortlessly. Not with great struggle, hard labor, endeavor, Nothing. Effortlessly he accomplishes all of his pastimes, his deeds. Then the eighth point is, when he decides to do something, his sankalpa mainly is never to be baffled. Now, we may plan out a lot of activities, few of them we may accomplish, that also some completely, some partially, some just begin and it may end because no, we could not continue. So many things happen in the course of our activity towards completion. But as far as the Lord's activities, which is technically called Leela, is concerned, as far as they're concerned, they're never to be baffled. He will achieve it at any cost. And we can see all of the Lord's pastimes. He never faced defeat. Then, two more points I had from a different angle. Looking from a different angle, why this does not constitute the Lord's factual glory. Actually, when you look from the loving aspect of the Lord's true glory is his love for his devotees. Then, the Lord is manifesting these glorious acts just for the pleasure of his devotees, so that they can relish and they can discuss and they can remember them. So this is the primary reason why the Lord comes to this world and manifests his Leelas. The Lord is coming down to this world primarily for the sake of his devotee, to oblige his devotee. The devotee requests the Lord's presence in this world, and the Lord, out of obligation, although he has no material obligation, he is only obliged to his devotees, pure devotees, and he is not obliged to anyone else. That Prabhupada makes that point. We will try to come to that point little later. So the Lord is not obliged to anyone, save and except his pure devotees, whose call he cannot neglect. So, in order to give pleasure to his devotees, the Lord is coming down and performing his wonderful pastimes in this world. And the devotees have a subject matter to relish, to discuss, to remember. As Krishna describes in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, text number 9. Krishna says, Mad chitta mad gata prana bodhayanta parasparam gatayantasya mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So Krishna says that my devotees relish discussing about me. They take great pleasure, ramanti, they take great pleasure in discussing about my glorious pastimes. They enlighten one another by discussing my glorious pastimes and activities. So for their sake the Lord is coming down. There are many examples all through the scriptures in this regard. Like Lord Matsya appeared just for the sake of Satyavrata Muni, who was a great devotee of the Lord. Even Narasimha appeared for the sake of Brahma, to keep Brahma's promise intact. So every avatar of the Lord comes down for the sake of a particular devotee. Now, Prabhupada quotes in the purport about one very important verse which he quoted many a times from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. Parasya shaktir vividaiva shuyate swabhaviki jnana balakriya cha. So, Prabhupada is saying that the Supreme Lord has nothing to do and no one is found to be equal to or greater than him. Natat samascha abhya adhikascha drishyate. Drishyate, no one is found. Na drishyate, no one is found to be samaha and adhika, to be equal to or greater than the Lord. For everything is done naturally and systematically by his multifarious energies. Parasya Shakti. Vividhaiva Shuyate. So how do we understand this? How the Lord's activities are conducted in this world. Prabhupada explains in one place, what is the difference between the internal potency of the Lord and the external potency of the Lord? Very nicely Prabhupada explains. In this material world, if any act or work has to happen, it happens to the material energy, external energy, through material nature. So the difference between this internal and external potency is this. Prabhupada says, in the material world, the external potency can act only after endeavors at great length. Only if you put in a lot of effort, the work is accomplished. That is the system and process and rule in this world. But when the Supreme Lord desires, everything is performed automatically by the internal potency. By His will, things happen so nicely and perfectly that they appear to be carried out automatically. Sometimes the activities of the internal potency are also exhibited in the material world. In fact, all the activities of material nature are actually performed by the inconceivable energies of the Lord. But the scientists are not able to understand how all these things are happening. They evasively conclude that everything is being done by nature. But they do not know that behind the nature is the potency of the Supreme Lord. So that potency is described in Bhagavad Gita as, in the 9th chapter, text number 10, Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam. Okay, now coming to this line, Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriyacha, that everything is done naturally and systematically. Prabhupada also used the word automatically. So how do we understand that? So Prabhupada says, God has nothing to do personally. And he gives an example. A rich man, he does not have to do anything personally. He has his assistants to do whatever he desires and wishes to do. He gets it done by his assistants. But that does not mean the process is not there. The process is being followed. Whether he follows or he gets the process accomplished through his agents and assistants. Number one. Number two, that is as far as the rich man is concerned. Similarly, the Lord also is accomplishing all the tasks in this world through his multifarious energies. It is magical because the turnaround time is too quick to analyze and to be imagined. The turnaround time is too fast than we can conceive. And so intricately it is executed without any mistakes and imperfections. So hard to analyze. Therefore we call it as magic. Prabhupada says one place nicely. So Prabhupada says that we say magic. We say things are very complex. Material nature is very complex. Its working is very complex. Because we don't know the steps involved and how quickly material nature is acting. and how it is possible for material nature to act. Therefore, it is complex. And we think it is magical. Magic means you don't know the steps and the system and process. Therefore, it is magical. But for one who is in knowledge, it is not magical. So, we will discuss about 4 examples now to understand this Swabhaviki Jnana Balakriyacha. Prabhupada gives 4 examples in different places. So, one example Prabhupada gives is just like you want to go to America, you want to call America, which is thousands of miles away. Today, technology is so advanced that you can immediately reach out to America, which is thousands of miles far. You need not travel. You can contact America, so somebody in America, through a phone call. So Prabhupada says the process is there, but it is too quick, and hence you think it is magical. So even in material world, we see there are so many nice things the scientists, the intelligent people have invented. The one example is this telephone, this mobile phone or wireless call. It is said that clock speed is measured in cycles per second, and 1 cycle per second is called hertz. So if you say a CPU or a computer is 2 gigahertz, it means it is processing 2 billion cycles per second. So the wireless signals travel at the speed of light. When you make do a phone call, a mobile call to someone in America, there are wireless signals. So they are traveling at the speed of light, estimated at 29.9 crore meters per second. Or in our language, in terms of miles, 186,000 miles per second. That speed it is traveling. But instantly you contact America. So how we have shortened, Prabhupada says, how by our intelligence we have shortened the space and time. So even we have been able to do this, achieve this. This is also God's given intelligence only. A part of God's given intelligence. And how much the Lord will be working even more wonderfully. Just imagine. Actually, there is no comparative study. But because we cannot reach out to the Lord and His brilliance and intelligence, if you want to appreciate the Lord's brilliance and intelligence, you analyze things happening in this world, manifested in this world, either by nature or by human beings. All of them constitute only the glory of the Lord. Actually, the glory of the human being is the glory of the Lord. If you invent something glorious, something interesting, unique, that is also part of the Lord's glory. Because you are part and parts of the Lord. Your intelligence is part of the cosmic intelligence, which itself is a part intelligence of the Lord, manifested in this world through material nature. Second example Prabhupada gives is coming to Australia. That time Prabhupada was giving a lecture. He says that earlier, 50 years back, Prabhupada was giving a lecture in 1970s. So 50 years back, that means beginning of 19th century. He said it would have taken about 6 months to come to Australia. But now in 6 hours I can come. Australia is about 7,800 miles from here. Takes about 8 hours by flight journey. So how it is minimized? Prabhupada is saying, by one's intelligence. For a common man, it is really surprising, quite difficult to conceive. How can somebody reach Australia in just 6 to 8 hours? How is it possible? It's being made possible today. They say there's one, the fastest aircraft in the world is Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird aircraft. It can travel at 3,500 kilometers per hour. That is the aircraft speed. So we become bewildered. A normal airplane will go about 500 to about 800, 900 or even 1,000 kilometers normally. But this goes at 3,500 kilometers. So for us, this looks to be wonderful. And yogis have their own means of transportation also. That looks to be even more wonderful. These are all even human feats which are appreciable. How much the Lord can accomplish. Then Prabhupada says, another example, in manufacturing this flower, Prabhupada had a flower in his hand. So in manufacturing this flower, the process is there. The system of Krishna's energy is so perfect, it is shortened. But we don't know all the details. Now the biologists, the botanists are studying the 5 stages of plant growth, from seed to germination to growth, pollination. So different stages they study. And then each of those stages have sub-stages. And all of them are happening systematically, one after the other, in the right sequence, without mistakes. You don't see any mistake in nature. As elsewhere Prabhupada said, just like you sow a banana seed, the seed for producing banana, by mistake you will not get a jackfruit. Oh, some mistake happened in the production, in the germination. Never happens. Everything is all perfect to perfection. Perfectionism is the characteristic feature of the Supreme Lord, not the human being. We can try for perfection, but we cannot become perfect as far as our activities are concerned. But we can be perfect in bhakti. That is possible. But the Lord is perfect from all angles. So all his energies are acting very perfectly. Unless we disturb the natural sequence of activities in this world. There's like sometimes we have heard that even in the Puranas we have description how once the earth slipped away from its orbit and fell deep into the Garbhodaka ocean. So one place Prabhupada analyzes, probably there is a possibility that there was an imbalance created by the demons in the earth's structure. Like Prabhupada said, for example, petrol is there below the earth. And we all know gas is produced from petroleum. And we also know that just like balloon, you blow air, you blow gas, it floats in air, right? So like that, this is probably Krishna's arrangement that there is a lot of oils stocked as needed below the earth. And from its gas is produced to keep the entire planet floating in space. And then you extract petroleum indiscriminately without knowing the balanced proportions, how it is being stocked, what quantity, where, balancing the entire planet. You just take away from one portion of the earth, that can be the imbalance, and then there's a possibility of the earth slipping down from its orbit. So the Lord is so wonderfully managing. So that's where Prabhupada said, you do not know, it is complex for you, but one who is in knowledge, for him it is not. Then the last example, it's a very common example Prabhupada gave, is from the neem seed, a very nice neem tree is coming. It's so nicely made. Prabhupada quotes, Bijo Mam Sarva Bhutana, the Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, 7th chapter. So Krishna is the seed of all existence. So Prabhupada says, from the neem seed, neem tree will come, but not mango tree. So, how the small seed is becoming a vriksha. So we don't have any idea. But it will come out. So these are few ways to understand how the Lord is working wonderfully in the arrangement of this world and many other millions of universes. Everything constitutes His glory. Even whatever we accomplish is also the glory of the Lord. Through us He is doing wonderful things also. And then here, in the translation, Prabhupada says, Shukadeva Goswami says, the Lord needn't have taken help from the monkeys to gain victory over Ravana, yet He took. So that is also a fact. Again, to give opportunity for devotional service to the monkeys, and even to show to the world, He can accomplish anything from anybody whom He desires, He empowers, when He wills. You can't imagine a monkey accomplishing something wonderful. Maybe you might conceive a scientist to achieve something, but not a monkey. But the Lord can do something wonderful, wherein normally we think, what intelligence does a monkey have? Scientific intelligence does a monkey have? The scientists have scientific intelligence. They can float airplane in space, although it weighs tons, by understanding the gravitational forces. How do you expect a monkey to understand the gravitational law, the space laws, and then make float an aircraft or a satellite? So what does the monkey know about hydraulics, about law of buoyancy? What does the monkey know? The scientists know. Therefore the scientists have made ships or even big vessels which weighs by itself thousands of tons, and over that thousands of tons are loaded and transported. Now, what can you think about a monkey to know the law of buoyancy and make those stones float? But Lord Ramachandra, if He wants, even He can make even the monkeys do such wonderful feats, unimaginable to even the most advanced scientists, if the Lord wills. This is another glory of the Lord. Sometimes the Lord expresses inability by Himself to do something, just to make the devotee more glorious. This is another understanding. Why did the Lord take the help of the monkey? Why does Krishna have to depend on Arjuna? Why does the Lord take help of the devotee? Why does the Lord follow a process? Sometimes He apparently follows a process and the laws of this world. That is reasoning. When the Lord is following the dharma of this world, it is to set an example that everyone should follow the dharma. When the Lord is taking help of a devotee to accomplish His leela or His sankalpa, to fulfill His act, His deed, that is to make the devotee more glorious. That is the primary reason. There is no other reason otherwise. When the Lord is omnipotent, all-powerful, what is required a monkey? What is required Arjuna? A tiny jiva. To make them become glorious. The Lord is more happy to see that His devotee is glorified than He is glorified. So that is why the Lord wants His devotees to do wonderful things. And the last angle is sometimes in all these pastimes, the Lord brings about one more peculiar or a strange feature, that He is putting a lot of effort. Typical to what is experienced in this world. For example, if I have to fight a battle and kill someone, a lot of effort is there. Either through weapons or through arrows, whether the modern or ancient means, whatever the detail may be. Lot of effort, lot of days it will take. But for the Lord, as we hear, Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriya Cha Parasa Shakti Vividaiva Shuyate. He can accomplish it simply by his sankalpa or simply by his agents. Why does it take time? Sometimes we see in Varaha Leela, if you read the 20th chapter of the third canto, 19th and 20th chapter of the third canto, just as an example, how much Krishna Balaram Gunta, Prabhupada ki jai. How much trouble the Lord underwent in defeating Hiranyaksha. And Devatas were watching from heaven. I don't have time, you can go through that verse by verse. Prabhupada's translation is very, very nice. It is actually breathtaking. The kind of fighting between Hiranyaksha and Lord Varahadev is very breathtaking. One time when the fighting was in progress, Hiranyaksha, he hit his mace to the Lord's mace and the Lord's mace slipped away. So Devatas were shocked. Prabhupada's translations are too attractive. There's one portion, I just read some few verses and we'll close. Brahma is saying to Lord Varaha, my Lord, this demon has luckily come for us, has come of his own accord to you, his death ordained by you. Therefore, exhibiting your ways, kill him in the duel and establish the worlds in peace. After hearing the words of Brahma, the Lord heartily laughed and accepted his prayer with a glance laden with love. For the Devatas, including Brahma, a lot of anxiety is there. What is going to happen? But as far as the Lord is concerned, it is a plaything. Therefore, he heartily laughed. Struck by the demon's mace, Hiranyaksha's mace, Gada, the Lord's mace slipped from his hand. And it looked splendid as it fell down whirling. Now the demon had an upper hand in defeating or killing Varaha, but he did not do. He respected. Even though the demon had an excellent opportunity to strike his unarmed foe without obstruction, he respected the law of single combat. Actually, this only increases the fury of the opponent. If you can imagine. Just like I given you a chance. Okay, come on. Actually, it's an insult. That to the Supreme Lord, Devatas are all assembled. Just conceive all these things. Just like a world champion is there. And then, at one point, maybe in one step, he fell down one time, say in wrestling. The whole world is watching. So he becomes more angry, right? The Lord's mace fell to the ground and a cry of alarm rose among the gods and rishis. Therefore the Lord invoked his Sudarshana disc. Then the Devatas again prayed, may victory attend to you, O Lord. Pray, dispatch him. Play no more with him. So even there in anxiety, what is going to happen? Then, springing into the air, Hiranyaksha aimed his mace once again, exclaiming at the same time, you are slain, referring to Hiranyaksha. But the Lord very, very effortlessly, coolly kicked that mace with his left foot, and it fell down. Then this time the Lord said, okay, take up Hiranyaksha, take up your mace, come once again. So challenged in these words, the demon aimed his mace at the Lord once again, roaring loudly. So the Lord very effortlessly caught it with his arms, just as Garuda would seize a serpent. His valor being frustrated, the demon felt humiliated and was put out of countenance. He was reluctant to take up the mace once again, although it was offered by the Lord. It's a shame for him, embarrassment, right? Then he took a trident and then he charged it, he hurled it against the Lord. And the Lord, using his Sudarshana, cut it into pieces. Again, he became very upset. Then he started hitting the Lord with his hard fist on the Lord's chest. And then he went out of sight. And then he started using his magical powers, mystical powers, in causing a lot of illusions. Suddenly stones started falling from every corner as if thrown by machine guns. There is sudden darkness all around. So many things he did. But the Lord applied his Sudarshana and dispelled all the illusions. He is Yogeshwara. So nobody can bring about illusion in the Lord. Finally, the interesting point is the Lord slapped Hiranyaksha at the root of his ear and he vomited blood and his eyes bulged out of his sockets and then he died instantly. Actually, just by slapping on the root of the ear, Hiranyaksha died. So Prabhupada says in text 26, 3rd canto, chapter 20, for the Lord is such a simple thing. One slap at the root of the ear is also enough. So why should the Lord take through the whole episode? So makes it very lively, very interesting, and the devotees relish the marvelous fight of the Lord. We also know Narasimha. Prabhupada gives another example. Just by the nail of the Lord, even a most powerful demon like Hiranyaksha can be finished off at no time, in no time. So that's why here it's being described. These are not the factual glories of the Lord. The Lord's glories are unlimited. And he doesn't need the help of anyone. Yet he performed these pastimes to make it more realistic because he came as a human being. Therefore he's acting like a human being. But when needed, Prabhupada says one place, when needed, even though he acts as a human being, when needed, he will show his supreme power. So I'll stop here. Grantarat Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai.